Ursina can't save her cub. You won't believe who showed up to help. The pristine wilderness of Yellowstone stretched endlessly beneath a pearl-white winter sky, its vast expanse of snow-laden trees standing like silent sentinels in the crisp morning air. This particular dawn brought with it an unusual stillness, broken only by the desperate sounds of a mother grizzly bear, Ellie, pacing anxiously around a deep crevasse in the frozen ground. Her cub, Sam, had been trapped in the icy pit for hours, his small form visible at the bottom of the slick-walled cavity. The young bear's playful exploration had turned into a frightening ordeal when he slipped on the treacherous ice, tumbling into the natural trap that now held him captive. Ellie's powerful frame, usually so capable in the wilderness, seemed helpless against this challenge. Her massive paws, skilled at fishing and foraging, couldn't reach far enough to retrieve her precious cub. Sam's whimpers echoed off the frozen walls of his prison, each sound piercing Ellie's heart like a sharp icicle. The little bear had tried repeatedly to climb the smooth walls, but each attempt ended in failure, his claws unable to find purchase on the glassy surface. The more he struggled, the more his energy waned, his small body trembling from both exhaustion and the bitter cold that seemed to creep deeper into his bones with each passing moment. The forest around them remained indifferent to their plight, the towering pines swaying gently in the winter breeze, their branches heavy with fresh snow. Ellie's instincts, honed by years of survival in this harsh environment, told her that time was not on their side. The temperature was dropping, and Sam's strength was fading with each failed attempt to escape. A sudden change in the air made Ellie's fur bristle. Her keen senses detected movement in the distance, a presence that made her maternal instincts surge with protective energy. Through the swirling snow, shadows began to materialize between the trees, moving with calculated precision. As they drew closer, Ellie's worst fears were confirmed: wolves. But these weren't just any wolves. Led by a magnificent alpha female named Luna, the pack emerged from the forest shadows with an air of quiet dignity. Luna's silver-gray coat seemed to shimmer in the weak winter sunlight, her amber eyes fixed intently on the scene before her. Unlike the aggressive posturing typical of wolf-bear encounters, Luna's approach carried an unusual sense of purpose. Ellie's muscles tensed as she positioned herself between the wolves and the crevasse where Sam remained trapped. Years of instinct told her to prepare for conflict, yet something in Luna's steady gaze gave her pause. The wolf pack's leader moved forward with measured steps, her pack following in perfect formation behind her. There was no aggression in their approach, no hint of the usual territorial display that characterized encounters between their species. Luna reached the edge of the crevasse, her intelligent eyes taking in the situation with remarkable clarity. She looked from the trapped cub to Ellie, then back to the crevasse, as if calculating possibilities. The other wolves remained perfectly still, waiting for their leader's guidance. In that moment, an extraordinary connection formed between the two mothers, one a bear, the other a wolf, transcending the ancient boundaries that had always separated their kinds. The silence of the forest seemed to deepen as Luna made her decision. With a soft, almost musical howl, she communicated something to her pack. The wolves began to move in perfect coordination, their actions revealing a plan that defied the natural order of things. They started gathering branches and stones from the surrounding area, working with surprising efficiency. Ellie watched in amazement as the wolves began constructing what appeared to be a makeshift ramp leading down into the crevasse. Each wolf knew its role, placing materials precisely where they would provide the most support. Luna supervised the effort, occasionally adjusting a branch or nudging a stone into a better position with her nose. As the sun climbed higher in the winter sky, casting long shadows through the trees, an impossible collaboration was unfolding in the heart of Yellowstone. Two species, traditionally adversaries, were working together to save a young life. The wolves' resourcefulness, combined with their pack mentality, was creating a solution that Ellie alone could never have achieved. If this story has caught your interest, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us a like. Let us know which city you're watching from. Now let's continue. The makeshift rescue operation continued as the morning light strengthened, casting long shadows across the snow-covered ground. The wolves worked with remarkable precision. Their natural hunting coordination now turned to a more noble purpose. Luna's leadership was evident in every aspect of their effort, her quiet authority guiding each member of the pack in their tasks. Sam watched from below, his initial fear of the wolves gradually giving way to curiosity. The young cub's eyes followed their movements, tracking each new addition to the rescue structure being built. His trembling had subsided somewhat, replaced by an attentive observation of the unprecedented alliance forming above him. Ellie remained vigilant, but had begun to relax her defensive posture. The mother bear's instincts, usually so quick to perceive threats, were now telling her something entirely different. There was an intelligence in Luna's actions that spoke of more than mere animal behavior. The wolf leader's calculated movements and thoughtful pauses suggested a level of problem-solving that transcended ordinary wildlife interaction. As the rescue ramp neared completion, a new tension filled the air. The structure looked promising, but would it hold? Would Sam have enough strength left to climb it? The wolves stepped back, creating space around the crevasse, while Luna moved to one side, her eyes fixed on the young bear below. The moment of truth had arrived. Ellie approached the edge of the crevasse, reaching down as far as she could while maintaining her balance. Her encouraging grunts echoed down to Sam, who looked up at his mother with renewed determination. The little cub gathered his remaining strength, positioning himself at the base of the improvised ramp. The first attempt was hesitant. Sam's paws touched the lowest branch, testing its stability. The structure held firm, the wolves' engineering proving sound. With growing confidence, the cub began his ascent, each step carefully chosen. The branches and stones, packed with snow and ice, created a rough but manageable surface for his claws to grip. Halfway up, Sam's strength began to falter. His muscles, already exhausted from previous attempts and the long exposure to cold, started to tremble. Ellie's soft whimpers of encouragement intensified, her maternal instinct driving her to reach even further down, despite the risk of falling in herself. Luna, observing the cub's struggle, made a decision that would further challenge the natural order of the forest. With careful steps, she moved closer to the edge, positioning herself near Ellie. The bear tensed momentarily, but didn't move away. The wolf's presence, surprisingly, felt reassuring rather than threatening. Sam's next few steps were crucial. The ramp's angle became steeper near the top, requiring more strength and balance. The young cub paused, his breath visible in the cold air, his determination wavering. Below him, the depth of the crevasse seemed to grow, threatening to reclaim him if he slipped. In this critical moment, Luna's pack moved with extraordinary coordination. They positioned themselves strategically around the crevasse, their bodies creating additional support for the rescue structure. Their collective presence seemed to energize Sam, giving him a renewed sense of security. The forest held its breath as Sam made his final push toward freedom. Each step was a victory against exhaustion, each movement a triumph over fear. Ellie's powerful form provided a beacon of safety above, while Luna's steady presence offered an unexpected source of support. The unlikely collaboration between bear and wolf had created something remarkable, a bridge across species, built on the foundation of compassion and survival. As Sam neared the top, the morning sun broke through the clouds, casting a golden glow across the snow-covered scene. The light seemed to bless this unprecedented moment of cooperation, highlighting the extraordinary bonds that can form when survival depends on setting aside ancient rivalries. The crucial moment had arrived. With one final surge of energy, Sam's paws reached the surface, his claws finding purchase in the packed snow. Ellie immediately moved forward, gently pulling her cub to safety. The relief in her eyes was palpable as she drew Sam close, her massive form sheltering him from the biting cold. The young bear, though exhausted, was finally free from his icy prison. Luna and her pack maintained their positions, watching the reunion with what could only be described as respectful distance. The wolf leader's amber eyes seemed to hold a deeper understanding of the moment's significance. This wasn't just about saving a bear cub. It was about breaking down barriers that had existed for generations. As the morning light strengthened, casting long shadows across the snow, a new sound emerged from the forest depths. Distant but distinct, the crunch of boots on snow echoed through the trees. Human voices, muffled but growing clearer, broke the peaceful aftermath of the rescue. Ellie's body tensed instantly, her maternal instincts screaming danger. Luna's reaction was equally swift. Her ears perked forward, head turning toward the sound with practiced precision. The wolf pack, still arranged around the crevasse, shifted their attention to this new threat. Years of experience had taught them that human presence often meant danger, especially during the hunting season. The voices grew closer, accompanied by the metallic click of equipment. Through the trees, dark shapes moved with purpose. Hunters, their rifles clearly visible against the white landscape. They hadn't spotted the unusual gathering yet, but their trajectory would soon bring them into view of the clearing. In this moment of crisis, something extraordinary happened. Instead of dispersing, as would be natural for different species facing a common threat, Luna made a decision that defied wild instinct. With subtle movements, she began positioning her pack in a protective formation around Ellie and Sam. The wolves moved silently, their gray coats blending with the shadows of the forest. Ellie, still holding Sam close, watched in amazement as the wolves created a defensive perimeter. Luna took position at the front, her posture both alert and calm. The message was clear: they would face this threat together. The bear found herself trusting these natural rivals, accepting their protection in a way that challenged everything she knew about survival in the wild. The hunters' voices suddenly dropped to whispers as they noticed movement ahead. Through the trees, they could make out shapes, but the mix of shadows and snow made it difficult to distinguish what they were seeing. The group slowed their approach, the crunch of their boots becoming more deliberate. Sam, still weak from his ordeal, pressed closer to his mother. Ellie's protective instincts warred with her trust in Luna's strategy. The wolf leader remained perfectly still, her presence somehow reassuring despite the growing tension. The pack maintained their positions, creating an imposing sight that would give any hunter pause. As the humans drew closer, the full scene became visible to them. Their whispers turned to surprised exclamations as they realized what they were witnessing: a wolf pack and a bear family, standing together instead of fighting. It was something none of them had ever seen or even heard of in all their years of hunting. The hunters stopped their advance, clearly unsettled by the unusual alliance before them. Luna's pack shifted slightly, making their presence more obvious. The wolves' coordinated movement, combined with Ellie's impressive size, presented a formidable barrier. The hunters exchanged glances, their original plans forgotten in the face of this unprecedented situation. The moment stretched, taut with tension. The humans' hands remained on their rifles, but something about the scene made them hesitate. Perhaps it was the obvious cooperation between species, or maybe it was the clear protective stance the wolves had taken around the bears. Whatever the reason, the natural order they thought they understood was being challenged before their eyes. In the silence that followed, nature seemed to hold its breath. The ancient conflict between predator and prey, between different species fighting for survival, had been temporarily suspended. In its place stood something new, an alliance born of necessity but sustained by something deeper, something that transcended the usual boundaries of the wild. The standoff continued, each side assessing the other in the crystalline winter air. The hunters, their breath visible in white puffs, remained frozen in place, weapons lowered but ready. They had come seeking game, but instead found themselves witnesses to something that defied their understanding of wildlife behavior. The leader of the hunting party, an older man with decades of experience in these woods, slowly raised his hand, signaling his companions to stay put. His weathered face showed a mix of wonder and disbelief as he observed the scene before him. In all his years tracking and hunting in Yellowstone, he had never encountered anything like this. Wolves and bears working together, protecting each other. Luna maintained her position at the front of the defensive formation, her silver-gray coat catching the morning light. Her pack remained perfectly coordinated, their presence creating an impenetrable barrier between the hunters and the bears. The wolves' behavior was so deliberate, so purposeful, that it challenged everything the hunters thought they knew about wild animals. Ellie, still holding Sam close, watched the humans with wary eyes. Her massive form tensed with each slight movement from the hunting party, but she seemed to draw confidence from Luna's steady presence. The young cub, though exhausted from his ordeal in the crevasse, remained alert, his small eyes darting between the wolves and the humans. The lead hunter took a small step backward, his movements slow and deliberate. He had seen enough in his lifetime to recognize when nature was trying to teach a lesson. The rifles in their hands suddenly felt out of place, almost sacrilegious in the face of such an extraordinary display of cross-species cooperation. One of the younger hunters raised his weapon slightly, more out of habit than intention. The response was immediate. Luna's pack shifted their stance, their movements synchronized and purposeful. The message was clear. Any threat would be met with unified resistance. The young hunter quickly lowered his rifle, chastened by the wolves' coordinated response. The morning sun had risen higher now, its rays penetrating the forest canopy and creating dancing patterns on the snow. The light seemed to highlight the absurdity of the situation. Humans, armed and ready for the hunt, being taught a lesson in cooperation by the very creatures they had come to pursue. In this moment of tension, something unexpected happened. A wolf pup from Luna's pack, probably no older than Sam, peeked out from behind the defensive line. Its innocent curiosity provided a stark contrast to the gravity of the situation. The small wolf's appearance seemed to touch something in the hunters' hearts, reminding them that they were witnessing not just a strange alliance, but a family protecting their young. The lead hunter finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "Stand down, boys. We're not here for this." His words carried the weight of wisdom gained through years of experience. He recognized that they were privileged witnesses to something rare and beautiful, a moment when the natural world revealed its capacity for unexpected alliances and mutual protection. His companions nodded slowly, their weapons gradually lowering completely. The tension in the air began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of reverence for what they were witnessing. The hunters began to back away, their movements careful and respectful, understanding that they had stumbled upon something far more valuable than any game they might have tracked. As the humans retreated, Luna maintained her vigilant watch, her pack staying in formation until the danger had fully passed. The sound of boots crunching on snow grew fainter, eventually fading into the distance. Only then did the wolves begin to relax their defensive posture, though Luna remained alert, her senses tuned to any lingering threat. The encounter had lasted only minutes, but its impact would resonate far beyond this snow-covered clearing. The hunters would carry this story with them, a tale of unlikely allies and natural wisdom that challenged their preconceptions about the wild. They had come seeking prey, but left with a profound lesson about the complexity and interconnectedness of life in Yellowstone. As the last echoes of the hunters' departure faded into the forest's depths, a profound silence settled over the clearing. The morning light had strengthened, casting warm golden rays through the frost-laden branches, creating an ethereal atmosphere that seemed to acknowledge the magnitude of what had just transpired. Ellie finally relaxed her protective stance around Sam, though she kept him close to her warm fur. The young cub, despite his exhaustion, showed surprising interest in the wolf pup who had emerged during the standoff. The two young ones exchanged curious glances, their natural instincts to fear each other temporarily suspended by their shared experience. Luna turned to face Ellie, their eyes meeting in a moment of mutual understanding. The wolf leader's amber gaze held a depth of intelligence that transcended ordinary animal behavior. She took a few steps toward the bear family, her movements deliberate but gentle, showing no sign of the traditional animosity between their species. The rest of the wolf pack began to settle, some sitting in the snow while others maintained a loose perimeter around the clearing. There was something almost ceremonial about their behavior, as if they too recognized that ancient boundaries were being redrawn in this peaceful moment after shared danger. Sam, gathering his courage, took a tentative step toward the wolf pup, his natural curiosity overcoming his exhaustion. Ellie watched carefully, but didn't stop him. The wolf pup, equally intrigued, mirrored Sam's movement under Luna's watchful eye. The two young ones met in the middle ground between their families, their innocent interaction untainted by the traditional rivalries of their species. As they watched their young ones explore this new friendship, Ellie and Luna moved closer together, their powerful forms creating a striking silhouette against the snow-covered landscape. The bear's massive strength and the wolf's sleek elegance complemented each other in an unexpected way. Their shared experience had forged a connection that defied the natural order of the forest. Other members of Luna's pack began to relax further, some even playfully rolling in the snow. The tension of the earlier confrontation had completely dissipated, replaced by an atmosphere of peaceful coexistence. The clearing had become a sanctuary where old rules no longer applied, where natural enemies had become unlikely allies. Sam and the wolf pup had begun a gentle play, their movements still cautious but increasingly comfortable. Their interaction seemed to embody the possibility of a new kind of relationship between their species. The young ones hadn't yet learned to fear or mistrust each other, and now perhaps they never would. The morning advanced, and the forest around them began to stir with its usual activities. Birds returned to nearby branches, their songs adding to the peaceful atmosphere. Even the local squirrels, typically wary of both bears and wolves, seemed to sense the unusual harmony in the clearing, going about their business with less than their usual anxiety. Luna's pack had spread out but maintained a loose circle around the clearing, creating a safe space for this unprecedented interaction to continue. Some of the younger wolves watched the playing cubs with obvious interest, while the older ones remained alert but relaxed, accepting this strange new situation with remarkable adaptability. As the sun climbed higher, Ellie began to realize that Sam needed rest after his ordeal. The young cub's movements were becoming slower, his exhaustion finally catching up with him. Luna seemed to sense this too, gently calling her pup back with a soft vocalization. The young ones parted reluctantly, but there was no sadness in their separation. Somehow, they all knew this wouldn't be their last encounter. The moment had come for the families to part ways, but there was nothing of the usual wariness in their separation. Luna approached Ellie one final time, their eyes meeting in a gaze that spoke of mutual respect and understanding. In that moment, both mothers seemed to acknowledge that they had established something rare and precious, a friendship that transcended the boundaries of species and tradition. Days passed in Yellowstone as winter maintained its firm grip on the landscape. The story of the bear and wolf alliance spread through the forest in subtle ways, changed patterns of movement, shifted territories, and a new sense of possibility in the air. Animals that had traditionally avoided each other began showing signs of cautious tolerance, as if the example set by Ellie and Luna had awakened something dormant in the forest's collective consciousness. Sam had recovered fully from his ordeal in the ice crevasse, his youthful resilience evident in his renewed energy and curiosity. The experience, rather than making him fearful, had sparked a fascinating transformation in his behavior. He showed particular interest in the wolf pack's territory, often leading Ellie closer to the boundaries they once strictly avoided. Luna's pack, too, had undergone subtle changes. The wolves moved through their territory with a new awareness. Their traditional hunting patterns adapted to account for their unusual new allies. The wolf pup who had befriended Sam, now known as Storm for his silver-gray coat, often lingered at the edges of the pack's formation, his attention drawn to any sign of his bear friend. One crisp morning, as the sun painted the snow-covered landscape in shades of pink and gold, Ellie and Sam encountered Luna's pack near a frozen stream. Instead of the usual tension such a meeting would create, there was an almost peaceful anticipation in the air. Storm immediately perked up at the sight of Sam, his tail wagging with unconcealed excitement. Luna approached the bear family with the same dignified grace she had shown during their first encounter. Her leadership had taken on a new dimension, She was now not just a protector of her pack, but a pioneer of new relationships in the forest. Other wolves in the pack followed her lead, showing remarkable comfort in the presence of the bears. The frozen stream provided an unexpected playground for the young ones. Sam and Storm, their friendship now flourishing, discovered the joy of sliding on the ice together. Their playful antics drew amused attention from both families, the sound of their enjoyment echoing through the winter air. What might have once seemed impossible had become a natural part of forest life. Other forest inhabitants watched these interactions with growing fascination. Deer, traditionally wary of both bears and wolves, began adjusting their own patterns. They seemed to sense that something fundamental had shifted in the forest dynamics. Eagles soared overhead, their keen eyes witnessing the evolution of new relationships below. As the morning progressed, both families settled into a comfortable rhythm around the stream. Ellie and Luna supervised their young ones while maintaining a vigilant watch over their surroundings. The rest of the wolf pack spread out in a loose formation that now included the bears within their protective circle. The stream's ice crackled occasionally beneath the winter sun, creating natural music that accompanied this peaceful scene. Sam and Storm had begun a game of their own invention, involving careful slides and playful chases that respected each other's different abilities. Their interaction showed remarkable awareness of their differences, yet found ways to turn these into advantages in their play. Other wolf pups from Luna's pack gradually joined the game, each finding their own way to participate in this unique form of play. Sam, far from being overwhelmed, seemed to thrive in the company of his new friends. His bear strength and their wolf agility combined to create games that had never been played before in these ancient woods. Ellie watched this development with a mother's careful eye, but her trust in Luna and the pack had grown stronger with each peaceful encounter. She had begun to understand that this unusual alliance offered Sam something valuable, a different kind of education, one that would make him uniquely adapted to life in these changing woods. Luna's leadership style had evolved to accommodate these new dynamics. She maintained her pack's hunting prowess and protective instincts while fostering this unprecedented friendship. Under her guidance, the pack had learned to modify their behaviors without losing their essential nature as wolves. It was a delicate balance, but one that promised to reshape the future of their forest home. As winter's grip began to slowly loosen its hold on Yellowstone, the forest witnessed a transformation that went beyond the changing of seasons. The unlikely friendship between Ellie's family and Luna's pack had created ripples throughout the ecosystem, touching the lives of creatures great and small in unexpected ways. The clearing where Sam had been rescued, once just another space in the vast forest, had become a special meeting ground. Regular gatherings between the bear family and wolf pack had worn paths in the snow, creating a neutral territory that other forest dwellers began to recognize as a place of peace. Even the most cautious animals would pause here, sensing something different in the air. One particularly memorable morning brought a scene that would have seemed impossible just months before. A young moose, separated from its herd during a recent storm, wandered into the clearing. Traditionally, such a situation would have meant either flight or confrontation. Instead, the presence of the unified bear-wolf alliance created an unexpected outcome. Luna's pack, led by her wisdom, made no move to hunt. Ellie, too, remained calm, setting an example for Sam. The moose, though initially tense, seemed to sense the unusual nature of this gathering. It stayed at the edge of the clearing, cautiously observing the unprecedented sight before it. Storm and Sam, engaged in their usual play, barely paused in their activities. The forest seemed to hold its breath as the moose slowly realized it faced no threat. Other animals began to emerge. Rabbits tentatively hopped closer, squirrels chattered from nearby branches, and a family of foxes watched with curious eyes. The clearing had become a sanctuary where the old rules of predator and prey were temporarily suspended. Sam and Storm's friendship had deepened with each passing day. They had developed their own unique way of communicating, a mixture of bear and wolf gestures that somehow made perfect sense to them. Their play had evolved into complex games that combined the best of both species, Sam's strength and Storm's agility, creating something entirely new. The wolf pup had learned to appreciate the bear cub's methodical approach to problem-solving, while Sam had adopted some of the wolf's strategic thinking. Together, they would often explore the edges of the clearing, their curiosity tempered by the watchful eyes of both mothers. Their adventures had become learning experiences that neither species could have provided alone. Luna's leadership of her pack had taken on new dimensions. She had maintained the essential hunting and survival skills that kept her family strong, while incorporating lessons learned from Ellie's more solitary, but equally effective approach to forest life. The pack's hunting patterns had evolved, becoming more efficient through this blend of techniques. Ellie, too, had adapted her parenting style, while maintaining the essential lessons every bear cub needed to learn. She had incorporated elements of pack behavior that strengthened Sam's understanding of cooperation and community. The young bear was growing into something unique, a creature who could navigate both the solitary and communal aspects of forest life with equal ease. The changing season brought new challenges and opportunities. As the snow began to melt in patches, revealing the first hints of spring growth beneath, both families found themselves adapting to the shifting landscape together. The wolves' knowledge of tracking combined with the bears' expertise in finding early spring foods created a powerful partnership. Other predators in the region had begun to adjust their behaviors in response to this new alliance. Mountain lions, traditionally solitary and territorial, showed signs of greater tolerance when passing through shared areas. Even the smaller predators, foxes, lynx, and martens, seemed to take cues from this new model of coexistence. The forest itself appeared to flourish under this new paradigm. Areas where the Bear-Wolf Alliance frequented showed signs of balanced ecosystem management. Their combined presence created a more stable environment where no single species could dominate completely, leading to a richer diversity of life in these spaces. The arrival of spring brought dramatic changes to Yellowstone's landscape. Patches of green began emerging through the melting snow, and the air filled with the sounds of returning birds. However, this season of renewal also brought unexpected challenges that would test the strength of the extraordinary alliance between Ellie's family and Luna's pack. As the snow retreated, revealing the winter-starved earth beneath, food became temporarily scarce. The early spring plants had yet to fully emerge, and the winter's stored resources were depleted. This scarcity affected all of Yellowstone's inhabitants, creating tension throughout the forest. It was during this challenging time that the true value of the Bear-Wolf Alliance would prove itself. One particularly challenging morning, Luna's pack discovered a rich feeding ground in a newly thawed meadow, but the area was too exposed for safe hunting. Meanwhile, Ellie had found a promising location for early spring roots and berries, but accessing it required crossing a dangerous section of unstable spring ice. Separately, neither group could fully utilize these resources. Together, they had a chance. Luna and Ellie, now experienced in cooperative problem-solving, developed a unique strategy. The wolves' superior speed and coordination combined with the bear's impressive strength created a new hunting and foraging method that had never been seen before in these woods. They would work together to access food sources that neither could reach alone. Sam and Storm played crucial roles in this cooperation, their friendship enabling smooth communication between the two groups. Their natural understanding of each other's capabilities helped bridge the gap between their families' different hunting and foraging styles. The young ones had grown significantly since their first meeting, their bond strengthening with each shared experience. The wolf pack's hunting formation adapted to include Ellie's powerful presence, while she learned to incorporate their strategic approach into her foraging. This combination proved remarkably effective, allowing both families to not only survive but thrive during this challenging time. Other forest inhabitants watched in amazement as this unprecedented cooperation unfolded. One particular afternoon brought an unexpected test of their alliance. While foraging in the meadow, they encountered another bear family struggling with the scarce resources. Traditionally, such an encounter would have led to territorial disputes, but Ellie and Luna's response demonstrated how far they had come. Instead of driving the newcomers away, they found ways to share the territory efficiently. Luna's pack helped coordinate the use of resources, while Ellie's experience helped identify the most promising foraging areas. The new bear family, initially skeptical, soon recognized the advantages of this cooperative approach. Sam and Storm's influence on this situation proved particularly important. Their obvious friendship and cooperative play served as a powerful example to the newcomers' cubs. Soon, the young ones were all engaging in shared activities, breaking down barriers that had existed for generations between their species. The warming weather brought other changes to the forest. Streams swollen with melting snow created new challenges and opportunities. The wolf pack's agility and the bear's strength combined to help them navigate these dangerous waters safely. Their success inspired other forest inhabitants to adapt their own strategies, leading to a more resilient community overall. As spring progressed, their alliance faced another significant challenge: the arrival of new predators in the area, drawn by the promise of spring hunting, threatened to disrupt the delicate balance they had established. However, the strength of their united front proved more powerful than any external pressure. The bear-wolf alliance had grown beyond mere cooperation for survival. It had become a new way of life, one that demonstrated the possibilities that existed when ancient rivalries were set aside. Their example continued to influence the forest in unexpected ways, creating a ripple effect that touched every corner of their shared homeland. As spring fully blossomed in Yellowstone, the story of the Bear-Wolf Alliance had spread far beyond their immediate territory. Word traveled through the forest in ways only animals could understand, through scent markers, changed migration patterns, and subtle shifts in territorial boundaries. Their partnership had become legendary among the forest dwellers, inspiring changes that would reshape the wilderness for generations to come. The warming season brought new visitors to the area, researchers and wildlife observers who had heard unusual reports from the winter's hunting parties. They set up observation posts at safe distances, their powerful cameras and notebooks ready to document what many considered impossible. Though they tried to remain hidden, both Ellie and Luna were aware of their presence, yet chose to continue their daily activities undisturbed. Sam and Storm had grown considerably since their first encounter. The bear cub was nearly twice his original size, while the wolf pup had developed the sleek, powerful build characteristic of his species. Yet their friendship had only strengthened with time. They had created their own unique way of playing and communicating that combined the best aspects of both species: the wolf's agility and the bear's strength. One particularly memorable morning, their innovative partnership faced an unexpected challenge. The early spring thaw had caused a sudden surge in one of the main streams, creating a dangerous situation for the younger animals in the forest. A group of elk calves had become stranded on a rapidly shrinking island of land, the rising waters threatening to sweep them away. Without hesitation, Luna's pack and Ellie's family moved into action. Their response demonstrated how far their cooperation had evolved. The wolves used their superior swimming abilities to test the waters and find the safest route, while Ellie's powerful form provided a stable presence against the current. Sam and Storm, working in perfect harmony, helped guide the frightened elk calves to safety. The rescue operation drew attention from all corners of the forest. Other animals gathered to watch as the former predators worked to save the very creatures they would have once hunted. The elk herd, initially wary, soon recognized that something extraordinary was unfolding before them. Their traditional fear of both bears and wolves gave way to a new understanding. This event marked a turning point in the forest's social dynamics. The elk herd, instead of immediately fleeing the area, began to adjust their grazing patterns to overlap with the Bear-Wolf Alliance's territory. They had recognized that within this unusual partnership lay a new kind of safety, one based on cooperation rather than fear. The researchers observing these interactions were amazed. They documented behaviors that defied everything known about predator-prey relationships. The forest had become a living laboratory of possibility, where traditional boundaries between species were being redefined daily. Luna's leadership of her pack had evolved to incorporate these new relationships. The wolves maintained their hunting skills, but had developed a more nuanced approach to territory and resources. Their howls at dusk now carried different messages, not just warnings and hunting calls, but communications that helped maintain the new balance in their shared forest home. Ellie, too, had grown into her role as a bridge between species. Her natural solitary tendencies had been balanced by a new understanding of community and cooperation. She had learned to read the subtle signals of wolf pack behavior, just as Luna had learned to interpret bear body language. Their communication had become so refined that other animals in the forest began to pick up on their cues. Sam and Storm's friendship continued to break new ground. They had developed games that incorporated teaching moments. Storm showing Sam how to read wind directions and track subtle sounds, while Sam taught his wolf friend how to identify the most nutritious plants and find honey without disturbing the bees. Their play had become a form of cross-species education that would serve them both throughout their lives. As spring moved towards summer, the impact of their alliance continued to grow. The forest itself seemed to respond to this new harmony, showing signs of increased health and biodiversity. Areas where the bear-wolf alliance frequented became rich with life, as their balanced presence created space for other species to thrive. The warm summer breeze carried the sweet scent of wildflowers across Yellowstone's vast expanse. A year had passed since that fateful winter morning when an unlikely alliance was forged between Ellie's family and Luna's pack. The forest had transformed in ways that no one could have predicted, becoming a living testament to the power of breaking down ancient barriers. Sam had grown into a strong young bear, his unique upbringing evident in every movement. The influence of his wolf companions showed in his heightened awareness of his surroundings and his strategy. See approach to challenges. Storm, now a striking adult wolf, retained the playful spirit that had first drawn him to his bear friend, while developing into a respected member of Luna's pack. The clearing where their story began had evolved into something extraordinary. What was once a simple gap in the forest had become a gathering place where different species could coexist peacefully. The spot where Sam had been trapped in the ice was now marked by a cluster of vibrant wildflowers, nature's own monument to the power of cooperation. One magnificent summer morning, as the sun painted the sky in brilliant shades of pink and gold, the forest witnessed something remarkable. A group of young bears and wolves, inspired by Sam and Storm's example, were seen playing together at the edge of the clearing. This second generation of cross-species friendships proved that their alliance wasn't just a unique occurrence. It was the beginning of a new era in Yellowstone. Luna and Ellie, watching their grown children from a comfortable distance, shared a moment of quiet understanding. Their decision to trust each other that winter morning had rippled out far beyond their own families. Researchers studying the area had documented unprecedented changes in local wildlife behavior, and their findings were challenging long-held beliefs about natural rivalries and cooperation in the wild. The forest itself seemed to celebrate this transformation. Areas where the bear-wolf alliance roamed showed extraordinary biodiversity. Plants flourished, smaller animals thrived, and a new balance had emerged. The researchers noted that even the soil composition had improved in these regions, as if the earth itself was responding to this harmony of species. As the summer day progressed, Sam and Storm led their younger siblings in activities that combined the best of both their species. Young bears learned the art of coordinated movement from the wolves, while wolf pups discovered new ways to use their environment through bear-inspired problem-solving. Their play was more than just entertainment. It was education, preparation, and a bridge to the future. The story of their alliance had spread far beyond Yellowstone's boundaries. Visitors from around the world came to witness this remarkable partnership, their presence carefully monitored by both park rangers and the animals themselves. Documentary filmmakers captured moments of cooperation that left viewers in awe, inspiring discussions about wildlife conservation and the untapped potential for harmony in nature. Luna's pack had grown, welcoming new members who adapted seamlessly to their unique way of life. The wolves maintained their hunting prowess while developing new strategies that allowed for peaceful coexistence with other species. Their howls at dusk now carried messages of unity rather than territory, a sound that had become synonymous with the spirit of New Yellowstone. As the sun began to set on another remarkable day, Ellie and Luna gathered their families in the clearing. The light painted everything in warm, golden hues, highlighting the extraordinary gathering of bears and wolves living in harmony. Sam and Storm, sitting side by side, embodied the promise of what was possible when ancient fears were replaced with trust and understanding. The legacy of their alliance had become something greater than themselves. It was a living proof that change was possible, that old boundaries could be crossed, and that the natural world held more possibilities than anyone had imagined. Their story had become a beacon of hope, demonstrating that even the oldest of rivalries could be transformed into the strongest of bonds. Dear viewers, we hope this extraordinary tale of friendship and cooperation in Yellowstone has touched your hearts. If you've been moved by the story of Ellie, Luna, Sam, and Storm, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us what this story means to you and how it has changed your perspective on wildlife relationships. For more inspiring stories of nature's incredible moments, click the notification bell and join our growing community of wildlife enthusiasts. Together, we can continue to discover and share the amazing wonders of our natural world.